Yeah, dude, I was watching that live stream when you were guys like in Liberty Park and they were trying to kick the. You guys have a tent and stuff. There's like that storm coming.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
I'm gonna have you guys on this side.
Sure.
Yeah. So I was just there at night.
The shopping carts and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And like it was raining and just talking about the harshness of freaking people living on the freaking streets.
So
okay.
glad you're there.
All right, so we are going here. All right, so good afternoon, everybody. We are where Nomad Alliance does their supply drop, whatever they call it. I think it's a supply drop. It wouldn't be a drive, right? They probably do the
60-second supply drop, right?
Yeah. They've done a whole lot, but we're here. I think this is 300
south, 6 west.
Yeah, y'all know it's like it's right in between the Rio Grande building,
right by the gateway,
and the tracks line and the bus station and all that. But I'm here with Michael Valentine, who is doing a lot of things. So I want you to plug. Sorry, I don't know this. It's going to like spill on. I want you to plug like who you are, what you're doing, because you got a business and you're also running for mayor, and
for sure.
And maybe your attitude about like what's going on
absolutely, man.
in our society.
Good to be here. Michael Valentine. I kind of have a background as a community organizer in Salt Lake for a long time. I've been part of Black Lives Matter. I actually helped found Just Media Utah back in the day.
Which is crazy. We didn't know. We always thought it was just...
it was me, Mauda, and Marvin.
You know? And there was a white guy involved. I don't know. I'm presuming you look like you're white. I don't know. Are you white?
Yeah. I kind of have a mutt background.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah.
So I actually came up with the name. I called it Justice Media. And then Marvin was like, let's roll out Just Media. I'm like, that's perfect. So,
all right.
So we were around with like the protests, George Floyd, a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Against police brutality.
A lot of stuff was going down.
I briefly helped run the media committee of Black Lives Matter. I have a film background.
Oh, okay. All right.
In the last 4 years or so, I've been mostly really involved with saving historic theater downtown. I have a background as a filmmaker. We kind of found out this historic theater is going to be torn down by some developers, and kind of like fell into this whole world of like corruption and developers taking public property. The theater is worth $20 million. They gave it away to some Texas billionaires for free. It was a $0 deal.
Oh my goodness!
And then Mendenhall took donations from the developers while they were negotiating. They lied about it being unrestorable. We have national experts that refuse, discredited their restoration numbers. All this crazy stuff. They violate historic laws, and people always think it's just about the theater, but it's really about public property and how our money's being used for developers and not for the people. $20 million can go to a long ways for affordable housing, for homelessness, all the stuff we need.
Yes.
So anyway, and then from that, I had just had a lot of people start asking me hey, we appreciate what you're doing with the community. Have you ever thought about running? And I was like, nah, man, I'm a filmmaker. I'm not really interested in politics. But then enough people kind of got me thinking about it, and I decided to jump in the race. I announced I was running for mayor in 2021. So
it's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. So
okay.
And now it's kicking up. So it's me, Rocky, and then Mendenhall. I'm the only candidate that hasn't either been the mayor or isn't currently the mayor. So kind of the underdog. And then I have my platform online. I've released a plan for housing and homelessness. My plan is to eradicate homelessness in Salt Lake. I've personally been homeless. I used to live in a tent in the woods in Immigration Canyon.
Oh my goodness.
All
right, some lived experience.
Yeah, and just to go over my plan real quick. So basically, I was proud to see Rocky support sanctioned camping. I support it too. We need sanctioned camping set up right away. It'll ban abatements to have these sanctioned areas. And then the important thing too is kind of right here is we can get people all gather together, unite resources, and then intake people and get them directly into housing, which is the only really cure to homelessness is putting people directly into housing.
Right.
It's actually cheaper than what we're doing right now with shelters and all this stuff.
Okay, which people don't really realize. People don't realize how much money we are spending to make nothing happen.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Well, the Rio Grande, all the money that went to the Rio Grande, Operation Rio Grande is do you want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Operation Rio Grande?
We that's right when we set up Just Media. It was right around that. It was getting torn down. And we started Just Media because I was doing all these interviews about the theater. Marvin was doing all these interviews about like police brutality, homelessness, and all this stuff, and we just realized that the press wasn't covering us. But so they tore down Rio Grande, or the road home in 2019. They built these new shelters. There was never enough beds. It's always been a problem. But we spent $60 million on 3 shelters, and they were full the first night because we kept calling all the time, and they were always full. So it's like there's a big disconnect here where we're spending all this money. It's like, how do you spend $60 million on 3 shelters that aren't even long-term solutions, where people go to a shelter, they get kicked out in the morning, they can't even live there.
Yes.
I would actually love to see the shelters converted into permanent housing, and kind of move beyond the shelter model into just like housing folks. And this is actually really cool because it's happening all around the world. So Houston, in the last 10 years, they've housed over 25,000 people directly into housing. And it's amazing because we don't have 25,000 people here. They have a lot, more manageable situation.
Yeah.
We could totally do that too. Finland is on the verge of curing homelessness. They have a plan to eradicate homelessness by 2027. So like, what's great about learning from what's being successful around the world is we can implement that stuff here and make Salt Lake City one of the first major cities in America to just end homelessness. So my plan is to house everybody within the first term of my administration. And I think it's very doable. And I think, having someone that's personally been homeless, I think there's a huge disconnect from the leaders that are working on this issue, where the money's going, and then listening to unsheltered people, and not talking about what the real solutions. I think most of the unsheltered people that are out and about, I think they know the solutions. They need housing. They want to. We were just talking about some people want to actually. Talked about like, hey, let's like find some places. We want to help build our houses. We want to help build tiny homes. We actually want to work. We're not lazy. We want to actually do this stuff and give back to the community. So the solutions are there. It's just really about listening to the right folks.
Yeah, and then I would say, and maybe you would say too, that the biggest barrier is the money issue, is a real estate issue. It's where the people are making money, where the profits are, where the profits lie. And you bring up Mayor Mendenhall, and Mayor Mendenhall's husband as being like a real estate like mogul, right? Yeah. So and this is historically known that they have. I don't know. I mean, I just barely thought about this, but it's kind of like Trump. Like Trump, what Trump did, in New York City and in these places,
corruption
of like, what do you call that? I forgot the words. It's the word where you're gentrifying, like gentrification, gentrification, and like preying on those who basically their voices aren't heard. And this is the thing that we do as a community, as a society, is homeless people have no voice and nobody cares, And we think about like demographics and like political like efficacy of like groups of people, and like black community, they have pull, right? They have weight. The Latinx community, they have pull, they have weight, right? The gay community has pull, has weight, unsheltered community, and the indigenous community too. Like we're kind of in the same. No, I'm not going to say we're in the same boat because unsheltered, like, because there are indigenous people in the unsheltered community, and that's a double whammy. But that's just to say that nobody gives a shit about what the indigenous people think, or the unsheltered people.
There's a lack of resources, a lack of respect, a lack of listening to voices, and it needs to change. And I love that you just mentioned all that, because I think the biggest problem right now, and then this isn't just a Salt Lake thing, but on the county, the state, across the whole nation, is we keep electing these people that don't give a shit about the community. They're not there to serve the public. They're there for a career. They're there for a stepping stone to become a senator or to run for president.
Yes, and that's what we always see, stepping stones.
They're there taking money from developers, from corporations. So it's like, who are these people serving? We had a big campaign finance deadline last week, and there was some big stuff about me not raising much money, but I'm very proud. I haven't taken a single penny from developers. I haven't taken a dollar from corporations. I refuse. I'll run my campaign for free before I take any of that corrupt money, because I'm actually here to serve the public. I'm here to work for the community. So I was sad to see my opponents not do the same. Mendenhall taking money from Maverick, Rocky sacking donations unethically from one person where their businesses are donating 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
So it's just really, I think it's upsetting, because I think this is the number one issue is personal character. We need people in office who are there to serve the public, that work for the community, that can't be bought in, that can't be paid for, that aren't there for a career, that are there to actually help others more than themselves.
And this is all stuff that you know, and probably but it is hard. This is the whole problem that we have with people saying, oh, they can pull themselves up by their bootstraps. They're thinking that that outliers are normal, right? Like, oh, I made it, I'm successful, I'm a black person, or I made it, I'm successful, I grew up a poor white person, or you know, like all of those things. Then you're an outlier,
right.
You know, to the normal. And the problem here is in politics, it is a lot of network, right? It's a lot of networking. It's a lot of pull. It's a lot of political pull, and it's a lot of money. You know, we talk about like
a lot of favors.
A lot of favors. So, hold on a second. So, when, you know, yeah, I don't know. I went to school. I did political science.
Oh, cool.
That was my major and whatever. But one thing I learned a lot actually, and mostly not about like political science, but like most about like sociology and how that stuff works. You know, which was awesome. But one of the things, you know, that I learned, or that I was more aware of, was I just barely forgot because that damn thing just went by. But it has to do with what we have, pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I'm going to think about that. You say something, and I'm going to remember what I said.
No worries, man. You know, the bootstraps thing's crazy, especially for homelessness. You know, I think there's a big, like, again, the huge disconnect is because people don't understand what it actually means to be unsheltered. They look at homeless people and like, oh, you did drugs, you made bad life choices, all these terrible things, when really it's like a lot of folks are veterans, they have trauma, they have PTSD, they have mental health struggles that like forced them into the situation. And I actually think it's opposite. Like drug use goes up when people are homeless.
Oh yeah,
because they're there to cope with the situation.
Exactly, they're trying to survive. They're trying to want to live.
Any housed person,
I agree with you.
Homeless, I think they'll be a drug addict within 60 days. Because it's hard when society just shuns you. How are you gonna deal with that?
Yes.
So like looking at these situations and this issue with new lenses and new eyes, and the realistic view of it, of like, hey, these are human beings. These people need help. We're not here to judge them. We're not here to, like, you know, basically go through their whole laundry list of life. We're just here to figure out what they need help with, help support them. And again, the reason that housing cures homelessness is it's a stability spot. So you put, like when I was homeless, like you couldn't think of anything beyond a 24-hour cycle.
Right.
You're like, where am I going to shower? Where am I going to eat? Where am I going to get food? I'm just tired. Where can I?
How am I going to be alive? How am I going to be alive?
So like
right?
people need stability of housing to then focus on their other problems and normal problems that regular people have, like how am I going to get a job? But then we also need to really realize that a lot of unsheltered people aren't going to work. You know, they're not going to go get a job. They're disabled.
Well, they can't.
Exactly. There was there's someone that came into my store that was on disability. I have a cider shop just here on Rio Grande. A lot of unsheltered folks come by and talk to me, and they were like going half blind. They were elderly. They were disabled. This person is not going to be working anytime soon, and it's insane to expect them to, like, hey, go pull yourself from the bootstraps, go get a job that you can't even do, and kill yourself for capitalism to get housed. You know?
Okay, because you just said it, and oh my gosh, I'm spilling your awesome cider. But so he does make cider. This is your business, right?
Yeah,
this is how you fund yourself, right? So he does cider. What's the name of it?
So it's called Six Sailor Cider. We're just here at the Gateway. We've been doing cider at the farmers markets for about 6 years.
Killer.
And then a lot of fun. We do some cool community ciders where we donate back to the issues. We have a cider for the Supreme Court for abortion rights. We donate to Utah Abortion Forum and Indigenous Women Rising, the national group.
Nice,
and
cool.
Then we're just talking about doing a cider for sheltered folks to help raise money.
Yeah, that'd be great. So it was about capitalism. That's what I was talking about. I was talking about like economies. You know like economies, whatever. You know, like all these economies. It has to do with capitalism. And in capitalism, the way you vote, money. It's all money.
Yeah.
Like, and this is one of many problems about capitalism is when everything is based on money and all this collection of money and all this wealth is like with a few people or whatever. Like it's always going to go towards them. It's always going to go towards their policies and their politics because they run the thing. Right. So we think about like democracy and everyone has a vote, whatever, you know, but. Really, it's about marketing, advertising, and people getting you into those doors and keeping you in those doors or not blacklisting you, keeping you in the fucking party, because there's two parties, which is another thing, right? What party are you a member of?
I'm an independent, so
I'm
not part of any party.
Independent, yeah.
I'm part of the human party.
Right. So. That's what I love. You know, so when I voted, and y'all probably know this, but I voted for in the Green Party. I actually think the Green Party is like has the most worthy platform or pillars,
Totally.
you know.
It's exciting right now. Cornell
Yeah.
West running, possibly getting up to 5% nationwide, which would open up a whole lot of doors for third parties.
Which is something that we've got to, like, I don't know. My whole jam is get rid of all of the United States and both the parties and whatever, and let indigenous people.
Yeah,
we need to have like the indigenous party and let us qualify. Let us do our own parties or whatever.
I think the future is really beyond parties. Just folks talking about the issues, and independents, people that aren't part of any party, are actually the largest voting bloc in America and have been for quite a while.
Well, I think people have gotten smart, right?
Yeah,
They've gotten smart, and they're like, hey, I'm not fully in line with party politics of Republican or Democrats, and they do see mostly that, you know, they're both about money. They're both about business.
Yeah.
And like, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I want to touch on one thing you said real quick, too, about money and democracy. I mean, we just had that campaign finance reporting last week. Mendenhall raised $600,000 so far in this election. Rocky's raised $300,000. I've raised under $200. But like, I don't see that as a bad thing, because hey, I'm not trying to buy this election. I'm trying to earn votes. They're just trying to like race each other to see who can raise the most money to just try to buy the election. I don't think elections should be bought. I support politically funded campaigns. I support just people voting for who they want, and money not being the issue for, hey, we're going to outspend our opponent 3-1 or 10-1.
Which usually money talks. I mean, usually the people that spend the most money, they're the ones that do it. Unless you're, well, I'm thinking of like Bernie, and he raised a lot of money, but it was small donations, and I don't know. I speaking of the Democratic Party, they really that was like a big spit in the face of their base when they denied Bernie, you know,
that's one reason
candidacy.
I'm independent now. In 2008, I went to Utah State. I was actually part of Obama Club. So I was very excited about Obama, and then when he got in there, you know, it was really heartbreaking to see what he was doing. Bailing out Wall Street, Standing Rock happened under Obama. Black Lives Matter.
And he just let it go.
Black Lives Matter started under Obama. Occupy Wall Street. Black income inequality went through the roof under Obama. So it's like, to have this guy run on hope and change as a progressive person, and then just, you know, backstab the community is really upsetting, and it goes back to having people that are there to serve the public.
So when you're talking about Obama and what it is perceived that they do because they are liberal or they're progressive or whatever the hell they are, Mendenhall, just think about that. It's the same damn story. Mendenhall is the story of like, but look at what's going on, and look at, and so here's the thing about Mendenhall is like, the city has grown. We've seen a lot of good, nice developments and a lot of things that are aesthetically pleasing and all this stuff. And she can say all these things, and certain groups or whatever coming in or enticing. But when you look at the heart, this is what everyone needs to do, is like actually look and see what she is doing for the most vulnerable population. And she continues to violate every single damn day with SLCPD, violate people's human rights.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's the whole point right there, is like, it's about being authentic, right? If you're saying things with your words and your actions are disconnected from that, or you're doing the opposite with your actions, you're inauthentic and fake, you know? So it's like, she just had a big meeting over here with the Gateway talking about, housing first. It's like, well, great. Where have you been the last 4 years? You've been funding the police for abatements. You've been giving public
a raise.
property
They gave the police a raise. She gave the police a raise.
Every year. You're giving public property away to build luxury housing, subsidizing these developers through our tax dollars. So it's like your actions don't align. So if you want to say you're progressive, you want to actually help the folks and fight for human rights, then your actions need to match up to your words. And I think people are smart. They're picking up on this, and like they can tell.
I hope so.
I think so, yeah.
But again, some people are smart, but they also care about their interest more, right?
Exactly.
And I think that would be like a lot of Mendenhall's base, is I think that they are smart, and I think that they probably want good things. But when it comes down to it, they want to make themselves money. And they want to better themselves in their situation, however that is.
We see a lot of people talking, the folks that are like more middle class, you know, are doing all right in Salt Lake, you know, talking about walkable cities and biking and public transportation.
Awesome.
And all these things are important, but it's like they're not more important than homelessness. That's the number one issue. We got to focus on our most vulnerable people first, and then we can get to all the great things of walkable cities.
People are dying. People are dying, and it's immediate need. It's an immediate need when people are dying, and it shows the priorities, and the priorities are in money and making people more money.
I have a nice way I like to think about it. I was talking about it earlier today, of like surviving and thriving, right? So we can kind of break down a lot of these issues of like, hey, this is an issue of surviving. People out here trying to survive. They need jobs. They need healthcare. They need homes. They need the basic necessities for survival. And then there's other things about like thriving, bringing a baseball team here, having all this other stuff. You know, it's great for Salt Lake, but it's like we need to focus on surviving first.
It's great for the people that can afford all of these things. You know, like
everyone
all of these
deserves
things.
to thrive too.
It's like when the NBA All-Star game came around. It's like, and so when we're there and we're saying, hey, and the city is saying, well, we don't get rid of our homeless people when these big events. Yeah, they do. What you could do is give them tickets, buy them fucking tickets. NBA could have bought them tickets. Salt Lake City could have bought them tickets. They could have been inside watching the damn game.
About this, man. I don't know if you know, like. We were out protesting the All-Star game that night, the big game. We were all there. You had your prayers and all that stuff. I found out later they wouldn't let us over across the street, right?
Yeah.
Around
because
the
they
center.
said it was off property.
They leased the sidewalk temporarily to the NBA.
Okay, and that's what they were saying. That's what they were saying.
They leased public property to keep us as citizens off of our freaking public
Oh my
sidewalks.
gosh. Okay, so
They temporarily sold it to the NBA.
So what we got to do is talk again about the corruption. Okay, this is the thing. The corruption of Mendenhall is so damn deep, and people's lives are actually at risk. I mean, I know of some people whose lives are actually at risk because of them knowing and trying to expose what Mendenhall has done in the past. Before she got into the mayoralship, and then when she was in the mayoralship and not recanting herself or recusing, or whatever that word is, of not voting, right? And you're recusing yourself from votes, and then she votes on something that she had very much personal ties with because her husband is making these deals on land in Salt Lake City.
That's the whole point of the Pantages deal. Everyone's like, oh, it's about a theater. It's like, no, it's about a mayor taking bribes from the developers and voting for a $0 deal from $20 million to $0.
It's money.
As she takes
it's money.
Donations, you know, and I've been attacked for this too. I've been fighting against this for 4 years now. I've been illegally evicted by developers. I've had a stalking injunction filed against me by developers, a faked one. So it's like it's a slap suit. They call these a strategic lawsuit against public participation.
Because they can just do it, right? And
try to silence folks.
And it's money too. It's like money. It's like well, they've got the money to back themselves up. They're gonna spend their money on lawyers and attorneys and whatever. And people like this, again, it goes back to people that are on the streets. They don't have the money, and people know it. They don't have the money. They don't have the backing, except for like us, people like us, you know, who are trying to make people aware of like what the hell is going on out here. And okay, it's
messed up, man. Saying all that though, I'm optimistic for the future. I really am very excited about the opportunities that exist right now, the people uniting together. I'm very proud to not take any corporate money, as I mentioned, but what's cool about this too is I'm also an independent, so I'm proud to have like the most diverse support of any of the candidates. I have communists voting for me. I have old ladies in the avenues that love me. I even have some Trump supporters excited to vote for me. I get this all the time too, where people are like, hey, I love what you're doing. I don't agree with you on everything, but I respect you and you have my vote and support. Because we're trying to unite everybody, and I feel like, we're going to get through this mess. I feel like the best is yet to come, and we just got to keep at it and build the city of our dreams. We have the power to do this, you know.
Okay, I'm going to end it on that. Thank you, everyone. Go visit him at where?
Yeah, so Mayor Valentine SLC is my Instagram. I'm building a website. It's going to be mayorvalentine.com. We'll be out at these every Sunday for every month they do them.
Yeah, every month. This is Nomad. BS. So this is why we're here. I just noticed that Nomad was doing supply drop. And so I came by and a lot of people needed tents, and so us at Unsheltered Utah we just got a bunch of tents, and we're gonna need to raise more money because our tents are almost gone. But I think it's an awesome statement when you drive by and you see these uniform tents that say Unsheltered Utah, as what we're saying to the city is, hey, we're doing something. This is our property. Don't steal our property. You know, it's kind of just on temporary lease or loan to these people. And so when you steal something, you're stealing property from a person.
Let me ask you that, because I was just thinking about that. That's so cool you guys do this. Are you guys able to fight back and get the property back? Or like
so far, during some abatements, they're aware, and they have been saving them for us. So when they do the abatements, but we are keeping track of every single person that we get them to.
That's amazing.
And I just gave one to somebody for the third time. So the first time it got stolen, the second time he was in the hospital, something happened, and so I just gave him another tent. But these are things that they're just frustrating, and it's frustrating to the community who donates things time and time. They donate.
Totally.
Go ahead.
This is such an important point, because Mendenhall, these people that are attacking unsheltered folks with the abatements, they're not just attacking the unsheltered, they're attacking the community too. Every month, thousands and thousands of dollars of tents, sleeping bags, clothes gets constantly donated, and then gets thrown away instead of like being washed. And it's just really, they're draining community resources, and it needs to be talked about. It's not just against the unsheltered, it's against all of Salt Lake City.
It really is. Everybody that donates to like myself or these communities or whatever, Nomad, whatever, you are donating, and all of your donations, hopefully they're safe, but practically they're not.
It's crazy.
Practically they're thrown away by Salt Lake County Health Department, which is another part of another cog to this whole fucking problem is Mayor Jenny Wilson and the Salt Lake County Health Department, they're not, like, it's a health department, help people be healthy, don't take people's minimal supplies away from them.
We've been out with, when they did abatements before, and there's a guy, he was trying to get a suitcase, and elderly guy, it was really heartbreaking. He had arthritis in his hands, he just didn't really, have use of his hands, and it was in the winter, so he's freezing. So the health department took his, this was a few years ago, the health department took his suitcase, and it was books, clothes, and medicine, and they wouldn't give it back to us, and they're like, this is a health hazard. I was like, there's medicine here. So it's like, are you saying it's the health department's official position that medicine is a health hazard to these folks? And they just would walk away, and they wouldn't give it to us. They're like, well, you'll be arrested if you try to grab the suitcase.
Again, okay, so let's go ahead. I'm trying to wrap this interview up, but you keep bringing stuff up.
Man, there's so much to talk about.
But this is the thing, is like the Salt Lake, so this is Salt Lake City Police Department, people who are supposed to defend rights, support rights, make people or assure people's rights are being protected, and served. That's what the hell I was looking for. But yet they stand as sentinels to the violations that the county health department and other people do to people who have nothing. And we just and to all the people who are out there telling people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, why don't they just get a job? Why don't they just get clean? Why don't they just go home? Why don't and they look at their own personal situations and their own personal network, and I promise you that your personal network and your personal situation is different. In some way it is different, because nobody's situation is exactly the same. So you cannot put them in your shoes and want them to succeed like you have succeeded, because most of us who are in where, like, I have an awesome network of friends. I have an awesome network of relationships. I have that, and so I have that benefit. We don't
all have safety nets.
We don't. And I have mental health issues, but luckily my mental health issues haven't broken me down so far that I've lost relationships with people. But a lot of people, and this is very bad. This is something that's harmful. Do not assume that everyone on the street has a mental health issue, but they may have a mental health issue. Okay, so I just want that to be clear: is that mental health is an issue, but do not stereotype a person out on the street and assume that they have a mental health issue, because that does danger and violence to people.
Totally. And the other thing with that too is, like, we always see them lumped in with criminals as well. Homeless people are criminals, and like drug dealers and all this stuff, and a lot of times they're victims of crime.
Well, mostly it's all exploitation, right? If they're dealing drugs, why are they dealing drugs, right? It's all a matter of exploitation, and the people that are dealing drugs for somebody else who's actually making the brunt of the money. So this goes back to,
and then that's the problem. But the $1 billion pharmaceutical companies killing people is not dealing drugs. So anyway,
okay. I was gonna go into like Utah County Mormonism and drug use and all that thing, but okay.
We'll do later.
Well, we are gonna talk again. Okay, love y'all.
Thanks,
have a good day. Bye.